What is up, everybody? Hopefully, you are having a fantastic evening. I know that I am. And hopefully, this show makes it just a little bit better. But there's so much to talk about. Trevor Lawrence just got paid. What does that mean for Brock Purdy? We're going to talk about how good of a coach is Kyle Shanahan really? And then we're also going to go through some of the defensive changes in more detail. We're going to talk about those things plus more, and we're going to do it all next. All right. Welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. And it's Thursday. That is not Marco, but I got my guy, Grant Cohn, in the building. What's up, Grant?
What's up, Jesse? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I got to tell the people, and they can see him. There's a couple golf balls over your shoulder, your left shoulder there. Pulled up to the stream, and Grant is putting. He's about this golf life, man. He really is.
I just completed my set today, and I went and checked out the putters, and I found one I really liked, Scotty Cameron, but it's $450. So I was like, "Hey, you got any that are like this but way cheaper?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, try this Cleveland." So I got the Cleveland. Maybe for Christmas I'll treat myself to the Scotty Cameron, but I figure I should probably break 100 one time before I get the most expensive, because I'd be a jerk. I haven't earned the Scotty Cameron, but I put it with it a couple times. It was luscious.
Was that other putter not real that you posted, or was it like a canned picture that you put?
Okay, no, that's real. This is the Happy Gilmore. I got this when I was like 10 years old. The story is Pro-Am tournament in Carmel. Somehow I'm at dinner with my dad and Alice Cooper. We're Not Worthy, Wayne's World, Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
School's Out for Summer, Alice Cooper. I had no idea who he was. I was 10. I hadn't seen Wayne's World yet, but he was playing with someone that my dad knew or covered. And we were talking about, I don't know, Happy Gilmore. So his guy sent me this, and I've had this since like 1998, 99.
That's legit. It probably works. Yeah. Is it
so hard to putt with, but it's a nice conversation piece to keep in the bag when you're trying to break the ice with other bros.
That's good. I would actually bring it along and do the Happy Gilmore, like reach way down on the club and do the little putt thing. That'd be great.
Absolutely. Just take it really serious. Line it up.
Yeah. I love it, man. Yep. Well, listen, this was not a part of the show, but news does break from time to time. And we were gifted with some news. Trevor Lawrence signed a not a record-breaking deal, but pretty damn high.
Mind-blowing deal.
Yeah, mind-blowing deal. There we go. Number 3 in total guarantees, man. Fully guaranteed. And then he's got $200 million in total guarantees, $55 million average annual value. All right. I think we know what this means for Brock Purdy. This can only be good.
It's great news for Brock.
But is it good news for the 49ers? Because that's a whole different question.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it almost feels like you saw what the wide receiver market did this offseason, how it just exploded. I think quarterbacks are going that direction. I mean, if the league is confident that the cap is going to keep going up and up 13, 14, 15% a year, pretty soon, good to very good quarterbacks are going to be making $60, $70 million. I mean, it's not going to be that long until the next good quarterback's making $70 million a year. So here comes Brock. And I think most Niner fans feel that they'd be nice if he would just take like 35 out of the kindness of his heart. But that'd really be what all it is at this point. He could easily ask for exactly what Trevor Lawrence got or more, because his resume is just better.
He's not going to ask for 30. There's zero chance that's happening. But you know, the deal that I'm waiting for to fall is the Tua deal. And I actually trust Brock more than I do Trevor at this point, which is crazy to say, because when Trevor was coming out, it was like, remember the hype was he's so good. He could have played straight out of high school in the NFL. Like, people were talking like that about Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, he's fallen off for multiple reasons, but he's still pretty good. He was the number 1 overall pick. People can make the argument like, all right, well, he had the one really good year. Things are finally settling down. Look at how many touchdown passes he would have thrown if his receivers didn't drop it. Plus, just athletically, he's more gifted. So he'll figure it out. Tua, I don't think there's any argument that anybody can make that he's better than Brock or different than Brock physically or any of those things. So whatever he gets paid, I think is really going to set the tone for the money that Brock Purdy can get. And I think he might get more than what Trevor Lawrence got.
I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, what are the Niners going to do with Brock Purdy making $55-60 million a year? How is their salary cap going to work? They'll have to do it. Most teams get there eventually, but it's not what the Niners have been doing. It's not what they like. For years, they're talking about we want a guy on a rookie deal, right? Because we have this team set up a certain way. We don't really want to mess with it. Well, that's over, I think. And so who has to go? The tight end, one of the wide receivers, the fullback, all the guys who are 32 or older. All of a sudden, like, this team's going to be way different. And is Brock worth it? I like Brock a lot. Is he worth it?
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting about this whole thing, Grant? Everybody has kind of the same take around this. Some people are just completely sold, but the people that aren't sold will say something like, at least we have one more year to see what Brock can prove. And my pushback on that is, what's going to change? Do you think he's literally going to fall off a cliff? One thing we do know is he can operate when everything is around him, all the talent in the world. What we don't know is how he can carry a team when all that talent's not there. Now we have a small sample size of what it looks like, and it's been iffy, but that doesn't mean that's necessarily how it's going to play either. That's a very small sample size. He may be great, but he may not be elite the way that people think he is. And they're not going to know that by the time they pay him. That's not going to change this year unless everybody around him starts going down. It's a bad season, a throwaway season, and he just has to operate without CMC and Debo and all these guys. So I don't think anything's going to change. We're not going to know any difference. He's just going to get paid, and then we'll all find out together.
And I'm sure Kyle would love to be able to say, you know what? I don't really want to. $55 million for a tier 2 quarterback or a tier 3 quarterback is just not smart. So we're going to trade Brock, and we're going to get another quarterback on a rookie deal. He can't do that because he drafted Trey Lance. Yeah, he drafted CJ Beathard. He signed Jimmy Garoppolo. His track record with quarterbacks is among the worst. Not that I'm better, but I'm not in the NFL. And he clearly lucked into Brock Purdy. So Purdy's the best quarterback the team has had since Garcia. And it's not just Kyle who can't pick a quarterback. It's the entire organization, top down, Jed Parag, all of them, the scouting department. So they got to pay Brock and still just feel happy that they got him because he's probably the least replaceable person in the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Jared, please don't confuse.
I just advocated. I just talked myself into paying him. I don't want to do it.
Absolutely. No, this is where the conversation can get a little bit frustrating, because if you don't just say everything is great, if you question him at all, it automatically shows up as hate. It's like, it's not hate. It's okay to question a quarterback who has less than 2 full seasons in the NFL on whether or not he can carry a franchise when he's making $60 million.
All right, let's talk about the young quarterbacks. Who are the best? It's Brock, Love, Stroud. Who else is in that tier of guys who have started 2 or fewer seasons? It's those 3.
I mean, of the good ones, yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah. That's kind of a little group right there. Those 3. Yeah. Stroud, Love, Purdy. You could argue that Purdy's the least gifted, the least talented, but that doesn't mean he's the worst of the quarterbacks. And a lot of people have seen one season of CJ Stroud and are like, he's top 5. So I understand it's kind of a sliding scale for these quarterbacks, but I think it's helpful to think of those 3 as sort of like in the same tier. I mean, is Brock better than Jordan Love? I don't know. He beat him in that one playoff game at home, but Packers dropped a lot of picks. It's hard to say. We'll find out this year. But I mean, you could argue that all 3 of them are worth big bucks.
For sure. But, my thing is, I guess whatever your take is, be consistent. If you feel like Brock deserves all the money in the world, then you should feel like those other 2 deserve all the money in the world. I love CJ Stroud. Like, he was my
Me
number
too.
one quarterback out of that draft. And he's done everything I thought he would and more. But even I would be like, if I had to pay him right now, I would franchise tag him and I would see another year. That's exactly what I would do because I don't know. It's way too early to say, oh, he's for sure going to be this. It looks great. He was that in high school. He was that in college. He was that without a lot of weapons. At least I've seen him operate without all the weapons in the world. Not a great offensive line either. But that doesn't mean that that's going to continue either. So I've got to know that. I've got to be sure before I make that decision. Let me just say this. I would guarantee you that everything that we feel about Brock as a fan base, all of that was felt by the Eagles after the Super Bowl 2 years ago about Hurts. And do you think they might be questioning, is he worth it now? I bet you they are.
Hell yeah.
You just don't
And I
know.
think that's a really good point with Brock. How does he bounce back from losing the Super Bowl? It's a huge blow to your confidence, not just him, but everyone on the team. And there's endless examples of quarterbacks losing the Super Bowl and having a really tough season the next year. Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You just never
that's
know.
another test for Brock. But I mean, I do think that Brock gets a lot more skepticism than Love and Stroud. Like you could play the same game with Stroud. Like everyone's just crowned him already, but he threw 23 touchdown passes in his rookie year. You know, like Love threw 32 last year. Purdy put up 30 plus as well. So all of them have paper thin resumes, but they've all done really, really exciting stuff. I mean, I don't know. I was skeptical of Brock, but I feel like the more I think about him, the more I feel like he's been such a blessing to the organization. Like, I don't know where they'd be without him. And he really is the best quarterback they've had since I was in middle school. So I like watching him play. He's damn good.
Yeah, for sure. I
Is he
mean,
better than Trevor Lawrence in your eyes? That's the question.
I would take him over Lawrence right now, and I trust him more than Lawrence. Like, that's the thing is there's Lawrence, same thing. Still too many question marks. I wouldn't have paid him. I would have let it ride out and then franchised him if I needed to. You just don't know. Like, there is so many
Here are
question
Trevor
marks with
Lawrence's
Trevor
numbers
Lawrence.
from last year. 21 touchdown passes,
Mhm,
14 picks,
mhm.
88 quarterback rating, 8-8 record. Like, what? What? And he got that much money? I just don't. I mean, thank you very much, Trent Baalke. I'm sure everyone in the league's like, thanks, Trent. Now we can't negotiate with our guy. He always does that. He gets out in front, gives a ridiculous deal, and now it gets worse for everyone else. He didn't do it with like Christian Kirk. It's always his fault.
Yeah, yeah.
I blame Trent.
Absolutely. He did do it with Christian Kirk. He sure did. And then actually he kind of low key did it with Ridley too, because he was driving up the market and then Tennessee was like, no, we really want him. And then they overpaid for him. It's like, you didn't have to do that at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moises says, as a betting man, I have to pivot from the Niners into New York Jets. They've actively made an effort to get better on the offensive line and wide receiver. Can't find much to point out the San Francisco has improved this offseason. We're not going to talk about the whole team improving, but we are going to talk about the defense improving and kind of go position by position with the changes and see, if we feel like they've improved or not. I would also say this, though. Sometimes the names are the same, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't have improved. Give an example, Brock Purdy. I think we all believe that he's going to improve this year because he's had a full offseason. Now he's the same name as last year, but that doesn't mean he can't be a better player. If the 49ers offensive line's the same and they get more continuity and now all of them have at least started a full year, I think they might be able to be a little bit better, right? So it's not a change, but it could be better. So I think that's a way to look at it as well.
Yeah. He could throw a little bit more. I mean, they don't need to run as much as they did. They just gave Christian McCaffrey his extension. He earned his money. They could
Mhm.
probably talk him into a few fewer carries per game and putting more on Brock Purdy's shoulders. I think he's earned it. But I really think what they need to do is let him set the protections at the line of scrimmage to get real schematic. He can do it. He's smart enough. He'd probably do a better job than Jake Brendel. Whatever their system was in the Super Bowl didn't work. That's what they need to do. But they won't. It's okay. What Brock Purdy can do is scramble more because he's going to be under siege. I like when he scrambles. He's really good at that. I thought those were some of the biggest plays in the NFC Championship game.
It's funny because we all would like to see him scramble a little bit more, but he could always just do what Mahomes does. And he kind of did that last year, where Mahomes doesn't scramble a lot until he gets to the postseason because he knows that he can get hurt. He gets to the postseason, he starts amping it up, and people aren't ready for it.
Great call.
I think Brock can do that every postseason. Just amp it up once you get there because you can go for broke. Like that could be your last game. You got to win. So why not?
I wish he would have done that in the
that's the way
Super
to
Bowl.
go.
I thought he did it in the NFC Championship game. He just
I thought
couldn't
was
get
gonna
loose.
do it in the Super Bowl.
That
Yeah.
KC defense was so good. I don't think people talk about that enough. The defense was way better than their offense.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, KC just won a Super Bowl with their defense. Kind of incredible.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
It is
think about that,
incredible.
but they did that.
They've won it with their offense. They've won it with their defense. They've won it multiple different
Hell yeah.
ways. So
What a team.
Moises says, Jesse, as a San Francisco fan in New York, my Jets friends say you should look into Jake Asman for behind enemy lines. I'm not familiar with him, but I'll check him out. I do have a guy, Richie runs Jets media. So really, really good. Definitely mess with Richie. But some of these weeks I'm going to be doing 2 shows because they're just that good. And maybe week 1 warrants a 2-show behind enemy lines week. So
His last name is
sure.
Assman. That's crazy.
You notice how I had a soft S when I did it. It was Asman. I gotta be.
Isn't that a Seinfeld episode where he gets a card that's like a proctologist card? It says Assman on the back. Isn't that the Seinfeld episode?
I'm pretty sure that is. I'm pretty sure that is. So Bleacher Report put together, I believe it was 4 trade scenarios for Brandon Ayuk. And I find this interesting. I threw in my own trade scenario as well because I mean, I like mine better, so why not? But I'm going to go through each one of these and you tell me if you're running the 49ers, would you make this deal? All right? Okay. So the first one is with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The trade is the Steelers give a 2025 first-round pick. And before we get into this, a lot of people are going to say, well, why would a team give up a first-round pick if they weren't willing to do it in this draft? Future picks are usually graded 1 round behind. So if you're given a future first, it's usually worth a second rounder if you were doing a draft today. So just throw that out there. Anyway, Steelers offer 2025 first round pick and tight end Darnell Washington. Taking that deal or no? Deal or no deal? I should have had the music and the cases. I really missed an opportunity here.
I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take it. That's a first round pick. I mean, I'm not sold on the Steelers. They're in a really tough division. They can finish last in that division. Russell Wilson is washed. Justin Fields is not good. Yeah, and Darnell Washington might be nice. He might be really good. So, yeah, I would take that. I would take that. Take that.
Okay. Brother Bob has this thing where if they trade BA, they have no chance at winning the Super Bowl, essentially.
They already have no chance. Their coach is Kyle Shanahan. Sorry.
You might be right about that. And I said, listen, odds are that they're not going to win the Super Bowl anyways. I agree with that. That's the easy bet, right? If I take 31 other teams. But that definitely does diminish their chances this year of winning a Super Bowl. I don't think I would take that one just because I don't know if Darnell Washington's any good. I want to get a player that I know is at least decent to fill in.
Oh, you didn't like his 7 catches last year?
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. Yeah. That's the problem. Now he's got he's a big body, whatever. So, all right. So I'll say no to that one. How about a Jets 2025 first and 2025 second round pick for Brandon Ayuk?
I think it's hard to do a deal where there's no player in it because then you really did get worse. And then you're like, how do you sell that? Hey, we got some picks for next year. I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can. It's nice that you a first and a second is tempting, but I just don't think you can. The people in the chat box would buy it, clearly. Jared Combs wouldn't like it. Jesse Wade wouldn't like it at all. JD Durham? No. He doesn't want it.
Wouldn't be fans.
No. Sorry. Got to throw a player in there.
I agree. That's why I really like this next one. And I would probably say yes to this one. So the Packers are offering a 2025 second round pick and Christian Watson. What do you say to this one?
Yes. Simple as that. I like this one more than the Steelers one too, because Darnell Washington might not be good, and Christian Watson is good. And probably better than Ricky Pearsall. Or why not have both?
I agree with this. The problem with Christian Watson has been health, and it's been a lot of hamstring pulls, but it sounds, and we'll see how it translates, but it sounds like he's figured it out. There's a whole thing going around where he went to a doctor and he figured out that his left leg was using like 50% more power than his right leg, and so they had to close the gap. Anyways, they feel like they've got it under control, finally, for the first time in his life. So if that's the case, Christian Watson can be a really good player in this league. He's dynamic. He can be a deep threat, all those things. I feel like he can run all the routes. He's cheap for a couple more years, and you get the second round pick to boot. I think I'm saying yes to this one.
Problem is, and they'll never do it because you're not trading with the Packers. So you could potentially see Brandon Ayuk in the playoffs and have it all blow up in your face. They won't do it.
That's true.
And it's easy for us to say do it, but it's always scary when you're the one pulling the trigger, sending them to a conference rival that you just faced and snuck by in the playoffs.
That's true. But Grant, here's the other way of looking at this. If this is a team that you're going to have to compete with for the next 5 to 7 years because they've got the other really good young quarterback in the NFC, why not hamstring them a little bit by making them pay $30 million for a wide receiver that you don't think is worth it anyways?
If you're really going to stand on business and say it's bad business, let the Packers do it. Yeah, I like it. Okay, I'm with you. You just talked me into it. I was being a punk. Sorry, I had to.
All right, this one is with an AFC team, so it might be more enticing to you. Also, a second round pick involved is coming from the Chargers, but it includes Joey Bosa also.
No, pass. Hard pass. Hard pass. Hard pass.
All right, fair.
Anyone else? No. 2 Bosas, that's too much on one team. No. No, honestly, as like a 1-year rental, I mean, let's take it seriously for a second. Maybe like if their pass rush on third down was Nick and Joey like side by side, Joey like inside, Malik Collins and Leonard Floyd, that'd be nice. That'd be pretty good. I might do it too. I might do this one too, even though I'm not a big Joey Bosa guy. Like 1 year of Joey, fine. Maybe 2, but no more.
One thing,
because you could argue they're still good. Like it makes their defense better.
Yeah. As long as Joey can stay healthy. Joey's really expensive. And you're right. It is a 1-year deal. This one's tempting. But
he's missed 20 games the last 2 years.
I'm going to say no on this one. I'm going to say
dang, Joey.
All right, last one. This is the one that I put together. This is a similar deal to what we worked out with for Debo actually a while back. So Ravens are going to give a 2025 second round pick, keep the theme alive, but they're also going to give Isaiah Likely. What do you say to this one?
Yes. I think I said yes to all of them except for one. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Anything is preferable to giving out a contract of this magnitude to a wide receiver. I don't think it's smart. I don't think it was smart for the Vikings to sign Jefferson like that. They're going nowhere. Once the Cowboys sign CeeDee Lamb, they're already were going nowhere. Then they'll definitely be going nowhere. I just think it's a mistake. It's like buying an Escalade in 2002. It's like, I wouldn't do it. That's a terrible comparison.
2002 Escalade was hot though.
It just feels like buying like something really expensive, like at the height of a bubble. Like you're not getting a deal on this one, buddy. You know,
it does.
Everyone wants this right now.
I like Isaiah Likely, and the one thing that I will say is the 49ers have had more success drafting wide receivers. Not perfect, but more success drafting wide receivers than they have, other than George Kittle. They cannot.
So you're writing off Cam Latu.
No, I would never. I would
Wow.
never. I think he's great.
All you do is hot takes, Jesse. It's really sad. It's really sad.
I know it is. I know it is. I'm a hot take master, but
Oh,
I like Isaiah Likely a lot. I do. And I think he's the perfect complement to Kittle. And I think he can eventually take over for Kittle. And if Pearsall's that deal, then you've already got your replacement for Ayuk anyways. Plus you get a second round pick. I'm for this one. I would do this one too.
oh, and it would be great just to send Ayuk to Baltimore just to piss him off. Like that would end up so
Talk
poorly.
about not getting
Like, Lamar's
targets.
great, but he doesn't throw to wide receivers like that.
No,
like you
and
thought
he's
you
got
weren't getting
this one
targets on the
receiver.
Niners. Like wait till you get 4 catches a game on the Ravens, baby.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down.
He said, I'm down. I'm down to piss him off. There you go. Yeah, I mean, one thing that you can say is if you send him to the Chargers, he's probably going to light up the box score year in and year out. So you're going to have to deal with that.
Like if you want to win the trade, send him to Baltimore.
Yeah, I think statistically you might win that trade. That's very true.
Now, if you just want to be petty, like, sorry, man, you forced our hand here. Enjoy Lamar. Jimmy Ward said that when I interviewed him that time. Like, I don't know why Sammy Watkins went to that team. I guess he doesn't want the ball. Remember that?
Yeah.
I guess he doesn't want the ball.
I love Jimmy
so
Ward, man. He's just so honest.
Yeah.
That's great. All right, let's talk about some of the defensive changes. And I know that we've had the conversation in one way or another, but I want to change it up a little bit. We've talked about, is the defense better? Is the offense better? Is the team better? And we've talked about individual moves and kind of come up with our thoughts on this. I want to go change for change on the defense, though, because there's, quite frankly, we might have 5 different starters when this season starts compared to what you had with the Super Bowl and who played in the Super Bowl. So with that being said, I think we need to go position by position, see if we feel like it's an upgrade or a downgrade, and then come up with our overall opinion on, do we think this defense is better? So we're going to start with the safety position.
Before we start,
yeah,
I just want to say, I see no changes. Wake up in the morning and I ask myself. Okay, no, sorry.
It's a good day. It was a good day.
See no changes.
It's great.
Sorry.
It's great.
Let's get serious.
No. Let's not get serious. All right, okay. Let's get serious.
Safety.
Tayshaun Gibson, no longer a part of this team. As of now, he could always come back. You never know.
Sure.
Presumably, Malik Mustafa might start. I think the safe pick is to go with Talanoa Hufanga. He's proven in this league. He's coming back from an injury. You don't think so? The face.
I mean, I would think that Talanoa would start if he were healthy.
Okay,
I would think so.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
A lot of people counting him out. I'm a big Talanoa Hufanga fan.
I am too. There's questions. There's definitely questions, but I think we can presume it's going to be him. So,
all right.
Tayshaun Gibson, starter in the Super Bowl. Talanoa coming back off of an injury. Do you think this is an upgrade, downgrade, or do we stay flat with this move?
I think Talanoa Hufanga is the most underrated player on the team.
Okay.
I think him coming back is huge. I don't know what condition he'll be in, but assuming he makes a full recovery, I think they're way better with him on the field. I know he can be a little bit of a liability as a deep coverage player, but in the box, he's a total playmaker, and he's made plays in deep coverage as well. I read Pro Football Focus did an article, I don't know if it was like ranking the best rosters in the league or what it was, but they said according to them, when Talanoa Hufanga was on the field, the Niners had the number 1 graded defense, and then when he got hurt, they slipped to 14th PFF grade. So I think he's really important, and him coming back should really help their run defense, their entire defense.
I think so as well. I love what Tayshaun did. I think that he's really good. Right place, right time, and you got to give him credit for that. Those picks don't happen by happenstance every time. Some are luck, but he's a pro. He knows where to be, and he's always going to be in the right spot. Now, Talanoa is different. He's not always going to be in the right spot. He is going to blow some coverages and some big plays, but because he plays that way, he's also going to make some really big plays. I am concerned coming off of a major injury, but an ACL is not necessarily an Achilles. I think he can overcome this one. Modern medicine's amazing. Tayshaun Gibson's also a year older It's not like he's young or spry, so there's no guarantee he would come back and even be what he was last year. I think he made a little bit of a dip last year, if we're being honest. So I'm going to agree with you. I think Talanoa Hufanga is an upgrade over Gibson at this point.
As far as Talanoa goes, he was undoubtedly better under D'Amico than under Steve Wilkes. There was something different about Talanoa last year, and they didn't talk about it until recently. But Talanoa and John Lynch, I think, both talked about it. Like, he wasn't playing on instinct last year. Talanoa is a playmaker who needs to play on instinct. And when he does, he'll give up some plays, but he'll make more than he gives up. And last year, I guess, I don't know if Steve Wilkes didn't trust him or Talanoa was trying to impress him or ingratiate himself with him, but he was trying to play the call more than he was playing his instincts. And he has to do the instinct thing because that's who he is. Has to.
I agree.
And you have to have a coach who believes in him.
I agree with that. Okay, so upgrade there. Next one. And I put him on here. I didn't want to. I'm hoping he comes back at some point, but we don't know if he'll be the same and when he's coming back. But we do know he's not going to start the season. That almost seems pretty much as a done deal at this point. So Dre Greenlaw started the Super Bowl, did not finish the Super Bowl, unfortunately. He is being replaced by Devondre Campbell. We agree this is a major downgrade, right?
Terrible. But
yeah.
I'm a positive person. I like to look for the silver linings here.
That's what your channel is built on.
That's what I built the whole thing on. It's my brand. Okay, yeah. Devondre Campbell, obviously downgrade, sure. But D. Winters, Jalen Graham, those two guys, very interesting. The Niners have a history of developing late round linebackers. And D. Winters didn't do much his rookie year, but comes back this year. Fred Warner says he's the most improved player on the team. That's huge. And I saw it too. I mean, he looks really athletic. He looks like he's in great shape. His body has been totally transformed. If that guy can do a Dre Greenlaw impression, then when Greenlaw comes back, they're better. So a lot depends on Winters or maybe Graham.
I'm with you. One thing that Fred Warner said was that Winters was the best player in the OTAs and the mini camps. And the last time he talked about a player like this, it was Jawan Jennings, who turned out to be pretty good. So
Fred Warner wouldn't just say some
stuff. No, he won't. He won't.
That's really good news coming out of OTAs because
that is good.
I have a tough time evaluating linebackers when there's no tackling. So thank you, Fred, for doing it for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I put Devondre Campbell as the starter, but he may not be the starter. And maybe
he may not be the starter. Yeah.
Maybe they got something.
It's like he's 32. Flanagan Foles is a special teams player. If D. Winters is good, there's nothing to stop him.
Yeah. Yeah.
If Fred Warner co-signs him, like, let's go.
I mean, listen, I think people were worried when Greenlaw went down and then Azeez had to come in, and we saw that turned out pretty good. Azeez ended up being a pretty good player. So,
dude, Azeez is such a good player.
So good. He's on the
that whole Javon Hargrave trade-ish type of deal, whatever that was, like letting a bunch of guys go so they could get terrible. Just awful.
Yeah.
Imagine if they still had Samson Ebukam and Azeez El-Shaair.
Oh, that'd be nice right now. That'd be real nice.
Yeah.
Such is life. You don't always. Yeah, I know. You don't always make the right decisions. Okay. I think no matter what, though, even if we want to be optimistic, we have to say it's a downgrade at this point. How big? We don't know, but it's definitely. I mean, Dre Greenlaw.
I'm an optimist, but even I can admit that this is probably a downgrade on paper. On paper.
But you think it might be an upgrade because you're optimistic. I see where you're going. All right.
I live my life. You can't walk around the golf course telling yourself you suck, even though you miss most of your shots. You know what I'm saying? You got to have this stupid positive mindset, and it's rubbing off in the rest of my life.
That's true. I like it. That's good. Good. I see under 100 is coming very soon. Once you get that driver back, it's over for that course.
Well, I played on Tuesday and I gave myself a 99, but I had at least 12 mulligans. So I don't think that was legit 99. I don't think it was.
Well, you keep wearing those cuts, man. You'll be good to go. All right. Let's talk about Eric Armstead. And I think this one's could be a little controversial, right? Because Eric Armstead does miss time. Certainly, I think we can all agree, maybe a little bit overpaid. Was paid like a defensive end, but he had to move inside. That being said, one thing we do know is that he always showed up in the playoffs. He always seemed to play his best football when it mattered the most. He did that, I believe, again this last year, and he did play in the Super Bowl. He's no longer playing for the 49ers, but they do have Malik Collins, who I also think is pretty underrated. I think he can be a good player as well. Is this an upgrade, downgrade, or are we even on this one?
It's a downgrade. It's a downgrade. Now, they gave themselves some financial flexibility, but Malik Collins knows he's not as good as Eric Armstead. He knows that. So it's a downgrade. Now, if Eric Armstead gets hurt and misses the whole season, then the Niners dodged a bullet. And I think they made the right move here. But nah, like it ain't Malik Collins ain't the replacement. He's a temporary Band-Aid until they get someone else.
I think you can make the argument for the regular season. It might be an upgrade because he'll be healthier. But for the playoffs,
He might play hard
and trying to win, and trying to win a Super Bowl, I think it's a downgrade because again, Eric was always there for the playoffs and he always played well.
So this is now I can say how I really feel about Eric because he's not on the team anymore. So Eric was the best player on the field when he wanted to be, which was like a few times a year.
It's true.
Which is pretty frustrating. And I think what was crazy about that 2019 season when it was his contract year, he did it like every week. He was so good. And then he got paid and he went back to doing that thing where he does it like 3 or 4 times a year. So, yeah, I mean, better to not have a guy like that on your team. It doesn't really help the culture.
Yeah. Yeah, but then, people said he was a leader too. I don't know. I'm going to go slight downgrade, but I don't think it's as maybe it's as I don't know. This one's tough. This one's tough for me. I go back and forth on this one because I do think Eric was a good player. I also think he was overpaid. So,
but he was a leader, right? And he was pacing himself, and so was the rest of the team. So maybe that wasn't the leadership they needed.
Yeah, that could be true. That could be true.
Yeah,
that could be true. Okay, Chase Young no longer a part of this team.
Upgrade.
Hell of a talent. I can't even sell this one. Leonard Floyd's a major upgrade over Chase Young. Major upgrade over Chase Young. This right here is the biggest upgrade, I think.
I think it's funny to go back and look at all the articles that were written about Chase Young when the Niners traded for him. Like, oh man, this is just a cheat code. What was Washington thinking? Like, I think Washington knows who Chase Young is. I think that's what they're thinking, and now the Niners do. And yeah, he was just awful. He really didn't.
Sure,
couldn't motivate him whatsoever. He didn't seem like he cared whatsoever. I don't know. It's like, hey man, it's a contract year, and you're going to the Super Bowl. Does that do anything for you? Nah. Leonard Floyd. It's crazy. He had the same amount of sacks as Bosa last year. How about that?
Mm-hmm. He's good. So, he's really good. And he's done it on.
It really shows what Bosa needs to do to earn that contract, man. Like 10.5 sacks, you can get that on the free agent market. You're supposed to have 16.
That's very true. Leonard Floyd's done it on multiple teams and multiple schemes. That's what I love most about him. And he's the closest thing that the 49ers have had to D Ford since D Ford, which I think, and it was a small sample size, but when there was D Ford opposite of even rookie Bosa, that's when the pass rush was at its best. I think Bosa, year 5 now? Leonard Floyd, like this is it right here. This could be massive.
Floyd's different than Ford too. Like Ford was 6'2", 250, explosive but compact. Floyd's like 6'5", 240. He's so angular and long, and it's quite enjoyable watching him do his job against Colton Kivitz.
Does he? And this, obviously we know this doesn't necessarily translate, but when you first saw Chase Young, a lot of people wrote about, just physically. He's just look at him, and people got so excited over what he looked like.
He's so tall.
Yeah, is Leonard Floyd as physically impressive to you as Chase Young, or more so?
He's just as tall as Chase Young. He's probably 30 pounds lighter. Like Chase Young seemed a little chunky,
thick. Yeah.
Leonard Floyd is in phenomenal shape. He looks like he has 6% body fat. Leonard Floyd is going to be really good on this team.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Good. I am too. I am too. That's great.
So is Colton Kivitz.
All right. Okay. All right. I feel like you're talking that one into existence.
Colton.
All right. Ambry Thomas. He could still technically start, but I don't think he will. And there's multiple options. We could go with Isaac Yiadom. We could go with the rookie Renardo Green. We could go with Rock Ya-Sin. I'm going to go with Renardo Green. I think either whether he starts at the nickel corner spot and then, maybe they move Demo outside or vice versa. I think Green's going to find his way onto the field. So, Ambry Thomas, Renardo Green. Is this an upgrade? Are we flat? Or is this a downgrade?
I like Renardo Green. Here's what I see from him. Here's how I judge corners. I feel like it's easier to judge corners and wide receivers in these practices. Is the corner trying to break up passes? Is he being aggressive? Or is he trying to not give up big plays? And is he hanging on? Isaac Yiadom, Ambry Thomas, Samuel Womack, they're trying to not give up big plays. Renardo Green is trying to break up passes. And oftentimes he does. Other times he gets called for flags. But he's right there. And they haven't had a guy like that since Jimmy Ward left, frankly. He's a little Jimmy Ward-esque. So I like him, and I think they've improved.
I think so, too. I mean, he played very well against Neighbors and Pearsall. That's two legit first-round receivers right there. He did a phenomenal job. So I think it's going to translate. Now, he might be a little handsy. He
might get some flags early on before he has a name for himself. People might say, hey, who the hell are you? Who do you think you are playing defense like this? But that's all right. You want an aggressive corner.
I like Ambry probably more than most, but he's never going to be special in this league. I think Renardo could be a true number one corner in this league, and Ambry just doesn't have that ceiling. And Ambry may not get the penalties, but he's just not great at tracking the ball when it's in the air either. I mean, and it's not even from an interception standpoint. It's just from not getting moss standpoint, even though you're in position. And I feel like that's never really improved for him. So I'll take my chance with Renardo Green. I think it's an upgrade as well.
I don't know if he can be a number one corner, although I don't know even what that even means. Like, I think if he were just a nickel and he was a great nickel, that's such an asset. Like Devin Witherspoon, Trent McDuffie. If he could be that kind of a player for the 49ers, wow. What a second round pick that would be. And I'm not sure. Compare his combine numbers to Devin Witherspoon, who was the 5th pick in the draft. Is a freaking stud. I'm not saying he's that good, but
yeah,
I think they're sort of hoping he's in that ballpark.
This is so good, man. Golly. What I like about Green, though, is the same thing I like about Demo. There's versatility, and injuries happen. And when injuries happen in the secondary, if you have multiple guys that can play multiple positions, it really makes your life a lot easier. A lot easier.
That's why I feel like he's going to replace Demo next year, because Demo is probably going to get 10, 11, $12 million, and the Niners may not have it for him, and they have someone similar.
I'd really try to pay Demo now. I would keep Demo over Charvarius. Charvarius at this point is still better, but he's more expensive and he's older. I'd rather keep.
The cornerback market's the next one to blow up. Someone's got to cover these wide receivers. If the wide receivers are getting 30, cornerbacks are going to be getting 25 pretty soon.
Wait till Sauce and Surtain and these guys get paid. It's going to be insane.
Thank you.
Okay. We've gone through all the positions that are likely going to change this season. After doing that, do you feel like the defense is the same, better, or worse than it was entering the Super Bowl last year? This one's tough. This one's tough.
Like week 1, not better.
Okay.
Is that fair to say? Like week 1, no. But
totally fair, yeah.
But like in the playoffs, they might be better. If Talanoa's back, Greenlaw's back, Winters is a player, Green is a player. Like this defense could build into something that was much better than it was by the end last year. How about that?
I'm with you. I think that's the best way to say it. I agree with you. I think you've got a lot of young players. You got players working back from injury. You've got new players. You got a new coach. New
Yep.
coach.
Yep.
There could be some growing pains, but I think by the time you get 9, 10, 11 weeks in, this defense could really hit its stride and do some special things. So I agree with you. I think it's a
Yep.
great way to put it. Nice.
Yep. Their secondary should be loaded. I mean, in the last year, they just never had a third corner. There was always someone you could pick on in the secondary. I don't think it's going to be like that this year. And that their pass rush should be better. I mean, with Talanoa in the field, their run defense is going to be better. I mean, a lot just comes down to the Brandon Staley, Nick Sorensen brain trust. And as long as, I mean, they should be fine. They should be good. I'm not betting against this defense. It's the best part of the team. It always has been.
Yeah. And I think if we made the same exercise on the offense, most of the names are going to be the same. But, I can make an argument that Trent Williams might not be as good as he was last year. So I'd probably say downgrade there. I would say Brock Purdy's an upgrade over himself from a year ago, So you could do the similar thing on the offense and come away with some interesting things as well. But we're not doing that today. We do both agree, though, that the defense come playoff time could be really, really something special. And there's more depth on this defense, which is important, very important. So
the Niners need to embrace this defense. I mean, that's what won the Super Bowl for the Chiefs. Niners offense is never going to get it done with that puny little offensive line. Sorry, that's a complimentary offensive line. You got to win with defense over here. And maybe they got it back. I mean, last year, such an issue for their defense was just playing hard. It was ridiculous. Maybe that's not an issue anymore now that Armstead and Chase Young are gone. It won't be an issue for D. Winters. It won't be an issue for Talanoa Hufanga.
No.
Won't be an issue for Leonard Floyd.
I can't believe that was a thing in the NFC Championship game of all games from a guy who wanted to get paid. It's like, dude, this is the best we're ever going to get from you. I'm so glad they let Chase walk. But anyways.
Yeah.
All right. Title of the show is How Good is Kyle Shanahan Really?
The best.
He is. And we've had this conversation in the past. It's like, I'd probably rank him 7 or whatever. But there's multiple ways you can do this. It's the same way that we've done this with Brock Purdy, where it's like, hey, you may have him top 10, but that doesn't mean that there aren't more than 10 teams that would pass on him and keep their quarterback situation ahead of Brock Purdy. I want to do the same thing with Kyle Shanahan. We don't have to spend a lot of time on him and Han over a lot of these, maybe a couple, but I want to go team by team, coach by coach, and just say if we believe that team would trade their coaching situation right now for Kyle Shanahan, because that is different than just saying, hey, I think Kyle Shanahan is better than X coach.
That's a good point. I like this. I like this structure.
I like it, but not as much as I like your putter. But, what are you going to do?
I was almost going to get up and start putting as we did this, but I figured that was just rude. Also,
if you had a lav mic, if you had a lav mic, I actually think it would be pretty.
Does Pat McAfee do stuff like that? I feel like that would be obnoxious enough for him to do.
I think so. Yeah. He probably does. I actually think that'd be a fun little segment. You don't have to take people necessarily golfing with you, but it's like putt around with Grant and you've got your lavalier mic and you're just kind of putting around, just having a conversation.
I feel like I'm slowly turning into Will Ferrell's brother in Step Brothers. That guy. The guy who sells helicopters in Catalina. That guy. Guy who's
Catalina wine mix.
Ice Baby that was me.
Hell yeah. I like it.
Sorry.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. Derek?
All right.
He could sing.
Yeah. It was Derek,
Derek
right?
was great in that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Sorry. Okay. Let's play the game.
All right. So we're going to start in the AFC. First team up, Baltimore Ravens, John Harbaugh. Do you think the Ravens would switch out their head coach situation for Kyle Shanahan?
Not in a million years.
I agree with you.
No.
Okay.
They have like an established culture over there. They're very much like the Steelers. They're not changing that.
I'm with you. Okay. Buffalo Bills, Sean McDermott. Would they trade out their coach situation for Kyle Shanahan?
Hell yeah.
I'm with you. I agree.
Sean McDermott. I don't get that one. He's been a coach forever. Never going to win a Super Bowl. Hell yeah.
Fine, but he's not. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, I agree with you. I thought they should have probably let him walk this offseason, but that's just me. All right. So that's one. Yeah. Okay. Cincinnati Bengals, Zach Taylor. Do you think they would switch him out for Kyle? This one's tough. Because I think Kyle's a better coach, but
I don't think they would. Just because, like, is there that big of a difference to just change everything? It's the same system, basically. I mean, there's a rapport between Burrow and Zach Taylor. Like, are you improving that much? I don't think they would.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I agree. I don't think they would either. All right. Cleveland Browns and Kevin Stefanski.
He was just the coach of the year. He just won that award, right?
Yeah, he did.
Like 4 months ago.
Yep.
No.
I agree.
No.
I agree.
No.
I agree.
No.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Denver Broncos and Sean Payton. They just traded a lot for him, but he's rough around the edges. I'll say that.
No.
I agree with you.
You know who interviewed Kyle Shanahan before the Niners? Denver.
No, that's true.
They didn't want him. They wanted, who did they take?
Somebody terrible, obviously.
Defensive coach. Vance Joseph.
Oh, was it Vance they ended up with?
Yeah. I don't think they're bringing it. I don't think the Denver wants another Shanahan taking over. I don't think they do.
That's a good point. I forgot about that dynamic. Okay.
already did that.
All right. You won me over on that one. Okay. You won me over because I was back and forth on this one. Okay. You won me over on that one. All right. Houston Texans and DeMeco Ryans.
Hell no.
They're
good. They got a good thing going. They're not messing that up. They're not changing anything. No.
I agree. Okay. The reason this is fun, Grant, is because what is the argument? You can't get rid of Kyle ever because
you can't.
2018
would just ditch their guy.
Exactly. Yep. And I don't think that's true.
Sure? Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's true. I don't. Okay. Mm-hmm. Indianapolis Colts and Shane Steichen.
No, because they drafted Anthony Richardson because he fits Shane Steichen's offense, and as soon as you bring in Kyle, they have to get rid of Anthony Richardson. No,
I agree with you.
Also, Steichen was good last year. He was in the running for coach of the year. I think he probably got more votes than Kyle.
Well, Shane Steichen was good last year for two reasons. Look at what happened to the Eagles offense as soon as he left. Then look at what he did with the Colts and Gardner Minshew. So,
good point.
Yeah.
It's a great point.
They were this close to the playoffs. So,
yeah,
I agree with you. So far, we've got 1, 2, 3.
That was the guy I wanted the Niners to hire after I fired Kyle. I said Steichen. I don't know if he's better.
I don't know either. I like Steichen, though. He's
pretty good.
So we're 7 teams in. We've got one team saying yes. I think this one here is interesting.
Okay.
Jacksonville Jaguars and Doug Peterson. Super Bowl winning coach. Had one good year, one not so good year.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Because they know they haven't gotten enough out of Trevor Lawrence. Mm-hmm. And it may not be Doug Peterson's fault yet, but if it happens one more time, it for sure is Doug Peterson's fault and he's getting fired. So he's already got one foot out the door there. I think they would love to have an offensive genius. And that was Doug Peterson like 7 years ago when the RPO was a big deal. So yeah, I think they'd take Kyle.
I actually agree with you on this one. Okay. Yeah. We know Kansas
Doug Peterson seems like he's kind of like a BlackBerry phone. Like, oh, cool. This is outdated. I haven't seen one of these in a while. Like,
he's the BlackBerry phone, and then all of a sudden he's the BlackBerry Storm. And you're like, why do you click screen? This is not killing the iPhone. Like, that's not happening. Okay, fair enough. That's 2. All right, Kansas City's not getting rid of Andy Reid. That's a no-brainer. Raiders and Antonio Pierce. Now, on the surface, obviously, Kyle's very proven, but Antonio Pierce took a really bad situation. That team loves him. They're galvanized behind him. Do you think they would make that move at this moment?
No, they wouldn't, for the reasons you just said. They would lose the locker room. The players on the team made it clear that they hired Antonio Pierce, Max Crosby, those guys said we're only going to play for him. So that's the way it is.
He's basically there for the same reasons that Wilkes is gone from the 49ers. right? So you couldn't mess that up. I agree.
That's
with
the truth. Yep.
Chargers and Jim Harbaugh. No. No. No way. There's no way they would do that.
No.
Okay.
No. Because here's the thing about Kyle, right? Really good coach. Yeah. But you're not just hiring Kyle to be the head coach. You're hiring him to be the emperor of your organization. He's essentially the owner. You can't tell him no. You have to just greenlight everything he wants. Give him all the power. And who really just wants to turn over their organization to someone? Jed! Someone who just hired Jim Tomsula and Chip Kelly back to back would be down. But you'd have to have a real weak owner who's also desperate. And there's not that many of them. It's not that many.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic, which makes this other one interesting, even more interesting than it was already. But the Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel.
No. That team likes Mike McDaniel. They have the same system. Like, what would that change? You'd have an agreeable coach with a good system or a disagreeable coach with the same system. It wouldn't do anything different. Absolutely not.
I think you have a general manager also that drafted Tua and is trying everything he can to make it work. And Mike McDaniel's on board with that. And I don't know that Kyle Shanahan would be on board with Tua. So,
I know he wouldn't.
Yeah, he should. Well, he shouldn't be. By the way, that's the right decision, I think. But Mike's
he'd be on board with Tua until the post-game press conference.
Tua he's so much like Jimmy to me. Anyways, yeah, I digress. All right, so that's 2 teams so far: New England Patriots and Gerard Mayo. He's definitely a better coach, but again, this is the Patriots with the next player. He's the succession plan to Bill Belichick.
It does seem like Robert Kraft wants continuity, right? He doesn't want to just like you had Bill Belichick for 25 years, and instead of just pivoting and going a completely different direction.
Yep.
Right? Let's try to keep some of this culture together. So yeah, it's another one you'd say maybe not, probably not.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Otherwise, they wouldn't have hired Gerard Mayo. Like, why did they hire Gerard Mayo? Because that clearly means something to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This one I was going to say hell yes, but I'm actually going to say no here in a minute, and I'll explain why. But I want to see what your thoughts are. New York Jets and Robert Saleh.
That's a no. That's a no because Aaron Rodgers, he wants to work with Nathaniel Hackett because Nathaniel Hackett is just the green light for Aaron Rodgers to do whatever the hell he wants. Aaron Rodgers doesn't want Kyle Shanahan coming in here telling him what to do. Hell no.
He didn't like Kyle Shanahan light over in Green Bay. He was not a fan of running that
system. And Matt, thank you for calling him Kyle Shanahan light. That's perfect. Yeah.
So no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Nope. Okay.
Hell no.
Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin, they just inked him to a new deal. They've had the same coach for like 47 years. Absolutely not.
No.
Not going to happen.
No.
Okay. Tennessee Titans just hired Brian Callahan.
I don't even know who Brian Callahan is.
I'm going yes on this one.
Where'd they get him? Cincinnati?
I don't know where he was at. I don't remember. Oh, I think it was Cincy. Yeah, I actually do think he was with
I'm going to say Tennessee would take Kyle Shanahan. Yeah.
I agree. I'm
thinking they would.
We've gone through the whole AFC, 16 teams. We've got 3 that would undoubtedly say yes. Okay. Arizona Cardinals and Jonathan Gannon. I don't think they would.
No, I mean, he's in his 2nd year. He did a pretty good job. You're not going to just abort mission this quickly because the Niners put Kyle Shanahan on the trade market. Like, no.
Him and that GM have so much synergy too. They're like, they see eye to eye like crazy. They absolutely. So no, I would say no on that one.
That's another good point too, because like Jonathan Gannon will work underneath the general manager. What general manager is going to trade for Kyle? You work for him now.
It's true.
You just traded for your boss. How does that feel?
Yeah. Yep.
You just did. You have less autonomy and power because you just made that trade. So, I think no.
I'm with it. Atlanta Falcons and Raheem Morris. With Kirk Cousins, this is a hell yes.
It's a hell yes. They still
hell yes, they are.
They still regret
are.
this breakup. You know what I mean? They're still stalking Kyle Shanahan's Facebook at 3 a.m. like, hey, I wonder what he's doing. Is he thinking about me?
It's got to be a hell yeah. Now, at first, I was going to say no because I think Falcons fans are not, and in fact, I know Falcons fans are not big fans of Kyle Shanahan, but I think the owner is, and I also think with Kirk Cousins there, you would have to make that happen. So
I have a comparison. Kyle Shanahan is the Kirk Cousins of coaches. Great numbers.
He's the gatekeeper to the top 10.
Gatekeeper to the top 10. Great numbers. If you have Kirk Cousins or Kyle Shanahan, you're going to have an offense that looks great. You're going to have big plays, great highlights. It's going to look good. You're not going to win a Super Bowl. That's what it is. But it's going to look good. You're going to feel competent. You're going to feel like a contender. You're going to be in the mix. You're not going to win Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan, Kirk Cousins, head coaches. Prove me wrong, Kyle.
All right. Hey, that's you might be right on that one. Okay. Carolina Panthers and Dave Canales. They just hired him. I think this is a hell yes. Young quarterback. Yeah. This is
Dave Canales. Yeah, sure. Good luck, Dave.
Yes. Chicago Bears and Matt Eberflus. Yes. Yeah. Young quarterback again. Yes.
Matt Eberflus. Yeah. There's a guy who's going to get fired in 1 year. Okay.
Speaking of getting fired in a year, how about the Dallas Cowboys and Mike McCarthy? That's got to be a yes.
That's a yes and a half. Absolutely. I'm sorry.
But is it though? But is it? We got an owner who plays GM. Does he want any part of Kyle, who's major pushback guy?
Would Kyle want any part of Jerry?
That's the other part of that. I don't know if he would want any part of Jerry either.
Right. He'd go, hey, Jerry, I'd love to coach your team. You know, it's just you'd have to give me the whole team. And Jerry'd say, hi, we don't do that here. So, yeah, that wouldn't happen. Good point. Good point.
He's definitely way better than McCarthy, but I don't think that marriage would work. And I think both sides would recognize it.
Yeah, you need to be a little bit more submissive to work with Jerry Jones. Ask Jason Garrett.
It was initially a hell yes, but I'm going to go no now that I've thought it through.
Yeah,
okay,
you're talking out of that one.
We're at 6. Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell? Absolutely not. 0% chance. They love
although that guy is Kyle Shanahan 2.0, giving up that 17-point lead in the second half, dog. What was that? Run the freaking ball, buddy.
From a different standpoint, though, right? He's overly aggressive on 4th downs, and it's like, dude, chill a little. If we could find the balance between Kyle and him, that would be the perfect coach.
Neither one seems like a legit closer, whatever that entails. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. But I don't think there's any chance they would get rid of Dan Campbell coming off an NFC championship. They love him there. They love him. So no. And that would entail getting rid of their offensive coordinator, who they also love. So no. Okay. Green Bay Packers and Matt LaFleur. We just called him Kyle Shanahan light.
He's done a great job with Jordan Love. No. You don't need to mess that up.
I agree. Okay. Rams and McVay? Absolutely not.
Nope.
Why would you do that? Minnesota Vikings and Kevin O'Connell.
I think they would.
Do you?
Who the hell is Kevin O'Connell?
People talk about him around the league like he's the it guy. I don't know.
I don't know why.
I don't necessarily agree with it, but
he's like a Sean McVay knockoff.
I think they would too.
He like made like the team more upbeat after Zimmer left. That didn't last that long. I don't think there's nothing special about Kevin O'Connell. I feel like Kyle Shanahan is a better head coach than Kevin O'Connell. I'm going to go out on a limb. But I'm a Kyle guy. I'm a Shanahan.
You are. You're a Shanahan. You're very optimistic, silver lining and everything.
They're starting over there. They don't have any continuity with a quarterback. Like, yeah, why not?
I think so too. I think so too. Okay.
Plus, Kyle and Sam Darnold.
Oh, that's true. Of that, yeah, but okay. So then Sam Darnold's going to start over your rookie quarterback, and you're going to ruin him before he gets a chance. Maybe not. I
Right.
don't know. New Orleans Saints and Dennis Allen. That's an absolute yes, right?
Yeah, Dennis Allen might be the worst head coach in the league.
So bad. That
So
was
bad.
a mistake. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
Okay. New York Giants and Brian Daboll.
Another guy in the running for worst head coach of the league. I don't know what's going on over there. Maybe it's the roster, but man,
That roster's
Brian.
pretty bad. But he was really good the year before. Didn't he win Coach of the Year or almost win it the year before?
I don't
Like
know
just
how
2
he
years
did
ago.
that.
You know what pissed me off about Brian Daboll is I thought he would be a horrible head coach, and then he made me retract my words after year one. And then I was like, if I would have just waited another year,
That's
I might
why
have
you
been
always dig in. You never retract your word. You might be right one day, you know?
one day. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Dayball. I think they want to start over secretly in New York. I think they'd be down.
Okay.
Something's not going on. Something's not working over there.
Okay. All right. Philadelphia Eagles and Nick Sirianni. Yes. Yes. Nick Sirianni's awful. Awful. So bad.
Yeah, but
Okay, all right,
they're
okay.
so committed to
Tell me I'm-
Jalen Hurts. Would Kyle want to coach him?
Mhm.
They're so committed to Jalen. I don't know about that. What if Kyle says, yeah, but
Also-
I don't want to coach Jalen. We got to get a new quarterback. Well, that's our quarterback.
Also, he's not going to have Vic Fangio as his defensive coordinator. That's not going to fly. They just got
No.
Vic in the building.
They already messed that up.
Oh, and they've got Roseman at GM. Okay, I'm on your side now. No, I don't think
know
they would
about
do
that
it.
one. Yeah, I don't think Kyle would get enough creative control.
I agree. Okay, all right, 8. All right, we're at 8. 49ers, obviously, that's a wash. We know what's going to happen there. I don't think they're firing Kyle, so no way. Seattle Seahawks and Mike McDonald.
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, Mike McDonald, fine, but it's almost like they got Mike McDonald because Kyle's in the division. I think they're spooked at Kyle. I think they'd probably take him.
True.
Yeah.
I was going to say no, but
maybe they want a defensive coach, but I mean, Mike McDonald might be good. That's what you can say about him. He might be good.
Well, I mean, he's the young it thing on defense, right? Like he's Kyle Shanahan from 7 years ago, but on the defensive side.
That is true.
So
that is true. Everyone's trying to replicate what he was doing. Everyone.
And they also have a GM that is in place and making all the calls there. I'm gonna go no.
That's a good point.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. All right.
Okay. Buccaneers and Todd Bowles. That's a yes for me, dog.
That's a yes. Sorry, Todd.
That's a yes for me, dog.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we got one more. And this one's interesting for multiple reasons. One, Kyle Shanahan left there and pissed everybody off on his way out. I don't think he would do it, but although there's new ownership,
Different
right?
owners.
And
Adam Peters.
they've got Adam Peters. So the Washington Commanders.
That's an easy yes. Their head coach is Dan Quinn. Any team would rather have Kyle Shanahan than Dan Quinn.
I agree.
For
Okay,
sure.
all right. Dan Quinn's awful. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we made it through the whole exercise. We're not saying that Kyle Shanahan is the 22nd best coach in the NFL. But what we are saying is we believe out of the 31 available teams, because the 49ers already have him, that only 10 would actually move on from their current coaching situation and bring in Kyle Shanahan. So, interesting exercise.
Yeah. So when people say, can't get rid of Kyle, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Kyle, win the Super Bowl this year. That's my advice. Professional advice.
Yep.
How to do it? Coach better.
Try harder.
Try harder. Do better.
I think that's the way. That's what I would say.
Like all the stuff that Andy Reid does, do that.
all the things he does. Go get Patrick Mahomes. I would start there, actually.
Yeah, next time you can draft Patrick Mahomes, do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Jesse says all the owners see the money that Kyle Shanahan is making Jed. Yeah, that I don't think that means that the guys that they have in place aren't going to make them money. You think that Dan Campbell's not making the Detroit Lions money right now? They were just on an HBO show.
Who is making Jed the money though? I mean, Kyle wasn't making him any money until Jimmy Garoppolo got here. Kyle has been saved by some really amazing people, man. Kyle's going down, and then Jimmy came through and saved his career, and then Kyle somehow turned that around and booted Jimmy out of town. And now Brock saved his bacon. Kyle's amazing. He's a survivalist.
I think Kyle saved Jimmy's career too. Jimmy's awful, man. He's so bad. And we knew it the whole time, man. We knew it the whole time. That was a fun time in 49ers lore. All right.
Kyle really could have went 1-15 that first year if it wasn't for Jimmy.
Yeah.
He really could have. And if he would have, I would have tried to fire him so hard.
But then he would have gotten the first overall pick, and you could have drafted Solomon Thomas there instead.
They could have. No, then that year they could have signed Kirk Cousins and passed on Josh Allen.
Oh, that you're right. That was after the first year.
That's what they would have
done. My bad.
Yeah.
That's a good call. That's exactly what would have happened.
Mm-hmm.
Dean says Kyle Shanahan is the Kirk Cousins of coaches. Is the greatest take of all time.
It's legit, right? They have a lot in common.
Kirk's a good quarterback, man.
They're both objectively really good.
Yeah.
And they've gotten paid for it, and it's just not enough.
It's very true. Very true. Jeremy Price says, long time, y'all. What up? It has been a long time. Yo, 3 lost Super Bowls, all lost leads in the fourth quarter. Not saying fire the dictator because he's gotten a lot of experience, but we've got to stop allowing him to have yes men around.
Jeremy, man, that's so funny. He's like, I'm not saying we need to end the dictatorship. We just need some checks and balances. Yo, that's democracy. That's not how a dictator. There are no checks and balances in a dictatorship, man. It's not that I'm against having a dictator run the organization. It's I just think people need to be able to push back. No, doesn't work. You're fired. Sorry.
You know what's interesting about Kyle is when you bring up the 3 10-point blown leads, everybody says, well, he wasn't the head coach for the first one, which is true. So then we can just go ahead and remove that and insert the NFC Championship versus the Rams as the same situation. So,
not to mention, I mean, to his credit, he didn't lose the one against the Eagles in the fourth quarter. He got that out of the way in the first.
That's true.
I'm getting snarky now. This is what happens.
It is.
I do last second sports on an empty stomach. I get snarky.
Tried so hard. Well,
I tried.
All he has to do is win one Super Bowl. You did. Very positive. All he has to do is win one Super Bowl, and guess what? All is forgiven. That being said, Grant, thank you for joining me. We went a little over an hour.
Never forgiving Kyle Shanahan. But he could win 17 Super Bowls. It would never be enough for me.
It'll never be enough for you.
No.
Right. That's fair. All right. Yeah, that's true. You're not going to. I will forgive him. Just give me one. Kyle, give me one. I will forgive you. But I don't have to be in a room. I don't have to be in a conference room with him all the time. I don't know what that's like either. So
it's fun. He really, the way he looks at me, it's nice.
Makes you feel so good.
It's a buddy flick.
Paul, thank you so much for contributing to the chat the way that you always do. Much love. We appreciate you. Have a blessed weekend. We'll talk soon. Peace.